highly touted Big Ten matchup between number 4 Penn State and now unranked USC. And listen, we talked about Penn State quite a bit this season. Talked about how James Franklin has this team prepped and ready, especially on the offensive end, to make a run for the Big Ten championship. I believe Penn State is the second best team in the Big Ten, right behind Ohio State. But I think that there's not much space between those two teams. I believe that Penn State can make a legitimate run at being the best team in the Big Ten. And USC, obviously 3-2 on the season, 1-2 in the conference, having this hard time struggling or adjusting to the physicality of the Big Ten. And it's just funny how quickly the tide and the energy in the program can shift, and also how quickly perception can shift based upon the media. Because right after USC defeated LSU in the beginning of the season, people were saying that Lincoln Riley and his job at USC was no longer in question. He just earned himself a 2-year extension based on his win against LSU. But now USC is 3-2, 1-2 in the conference. They just got upset against Minnesota, no longer in the top 25. Now people once again are starting to question the safety of Lincoln Riley's job security and whether he should be on the hot seat. And I'll be interested to hear Dre's perspective on what he thinks about Lincoln Riley and what he thinks about his job security and whether USC should fire Lincoln Riley at the end of the season. And obviously with Penn State, one of the best defenses in the country, and the thing that separates this iteration of Penn State from previous Penn State Penn State teams is the offense. His offense. Listen, Aller for Penn State already has 1,000 yards in the season, has 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Their rushing attack is led by Singleton, who has 53 carries, 408 yards, 3 touchdowns. And if we look at the numbers real quick for Penn State, they're averaging 244 passing yards per game, which is good for 57th in the country. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite formidable compared to its previous offenses at Penn State. And they're averaging 217 rushing yards per game, which is good for 18th in the country. Averaging 34 points per game, which is good for 34th. And obviously we know how great the defense is. Only allowing 11 points per game, which is good for 11th in the country. Good for 8th in the country. And the big thing we just saw right there was the 217 yards per game on the ground. That allows Penn State to obviously control time of possession. It allows them to extend drives and extend the time that the defense is on the sideline, which allows them to rest more and to catch their breath. And that's why every time the defense for Penn State comes on the field, they look rejuvenated, they look fresh, and so they're able to be more consistent and be more effective when they are on the field. And listen, Penn State's coming off a 27-11 victory against UCLA. While, like I said, USC is coming off an upset against Minnesota, in which they lost 24-17. And listen, Penn State's best victory so far this year is against UCLA, while USC's best victory, like I said, is against LSU, which was to open out the season. And some people will argue that Penn State hasn't played anyone yet. They haven't played anyone of stature. So the numbers are a bit inflated for them. And some people will say that USC has had a tough schedule, and so they've struggled to get into a rhythm because they face the gauntlet. And I think two things can be true at the same time. Yes, Penn State has not had the toughest of schedules, but the film doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. We talked about with Tennessee, for example, how, yes, they have not had the toughest of schedules, but we still see that the offense for Tennessee can still be proficient and quite explosive, no matter who they're playing against. Though they did lose to Arkansas, that team was still able to move the ball quite a bit. Same thing with Penn State. Yes, they haven't played anyone of stature, but listen, the defense still looks potent, still looks physical. They do a great job of stopping the run, and the offense still looks commendable, especially when they can get into a rhythm running the ground, because that on the ground game, because now that opens up the play action. And if we look at matchup predictor, listen, match predictor actually has USC with a 51% chance of winning this game, and the spread is currently for Penn State -5, and the over/under is currently set at 50, which means that as we get closer to the to Saturday, it's probably going to become a pick'em game, in all likelihood. And listen, the game is a home game for USC, but I have Penn State winning this game. I have Penn State winning this game by a score of 27-23. I think Penn State's legitimate. I think Penn State's one of the best teams, like I said, in the Big Ten, and I do believe that this performance is going to show people why Penn State is one of the best teams in the Big Ten. And the only reason I believe USC is going to be able to score 23 points this game is because of the reshift in focus from their matchup against Minnesota. Like I said, watching that Minnesota game, USC looked out of sorts. They looked unfocused, unmotivated, and I believe that's going to allow that performance they had against Minnesota is going to galvanize them to put up a stronger performance against Penn State. However, it will not be enough because Penn State is that much more dominant of a team. And, Michigan and Penn State are two teams that are built quite similarly. However, Penn State is a highly more potent offense than Michigan has. So actually, though I have Penn State winning this game by a score of 27-23, I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State's able to get into the 30s offensively. Through their ability to run the ball and control time possession, and running the ball is something, or stopping the rushing attack is something that USC has not done a good job of all year, though their secondary has been great. So like I said, I have Penn State winning this game by a score of 27-23. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'd love to hear all about it. And in our next segment, guys, we're going to be previewing a very, very interesting SEC matchup. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back.